Welcome to this episode of GLI Live. This is part of the Global Liver Institute's response to COVID-19. If you are watching this live on Facebook or other platforms, you know we're also getting ready for International NASH Day this Friday, June 12th. So I'm so excited about the topic that we'll be bringing to you today because it's a really important intersection with our NASH efforts. For those of you who have been watching, first of all, thank you over the course of these past few weeks. I am still safe in my home, self-isolating. You may see a different background, but that's just having a little fun with Zoom. I do look forward to the day when I can go back to my office and GLI staff can reconnect. But in the meantime, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to stay connected to you and provide you some information and sharing this time and this exciting expert that we have with us today. So today we'll be talking about how to eat for liver health. And our guest is, and this is so exciting, this is our first bilingual episode, unless you count Robert Mitchell Thane's, his Scottish, from our friends from the PBC Foundation, but we are connecting with Argentina today. And I'd love to introduce you to Paola Andrenacci, who is a nutritionist, specializing in liver diseases and coordinator of the teaching and training area at the Sayani Foundation. So welcome, Paola. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Donna. How are you? It's a great honor to be talking to you today. And I must confess that I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw your email. I'm really happy and ready to help you and all the people who are watching and listening now. And I saw all the interview and I hope to be up to the occasion because all the interview were excellent. So I'm sorry for my English, and if you don't understand me, please tell me. And thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very, very grateful.
Your English es mejor que mi español. So no, and I know that you'll be, we welcomed you to answer some of the questions in English and Spanish, so feel free to do whatever comes natural for you and whatever is best. So I'll just start off with the first question, just letting you tell us about the work that you do with the Sayani Foundation.
Well, Sayani, it is in Jujuy, that it is in the north of Argentina, very far from Buenos Aires. We are used to working not only with patients with liver disease or transplant, but also with their families and friends. And Sayani has a very important meaning. And Sayani, it is not a Spanish word. In fact, it's a Quechua word. And Quechua is the language of the Indian from the north of Argentina. And Sayani means renacer, yo me mantengo en pie. Born again and stay strong in English. That is our main objective, that every person who has to deal with liver disease or transplant can live with it as well as possible. I think it has an amazing meaning.
It does. That certainly resonates with me. Trying to live my best life and trying to live well 25 years post liver transplant and helping other patients to do that. And so you are a nutritionist by training. There's a lot that goes into being trained as a nutritionist. It's not just, carbs and proteins. There's a lot of rigorous science behind that. So how do you work to take the science, everything that you learn in guidelines and so many conferences, and make it real for people so that they can be successful?
I think I'm wired. I think I'm wired. sometimes it's happened to me that people ask me, what is your show? Then I reply, I'm a nutritionist specialized in liver disease, and of course, I work at Sayani Foundation. People look at me, pause, and ask again. And suddenly, I find myself in the supermarket or anywhere else talking about liver and nutrition. I think, oh my God. And of course, in the office, I try that my patient feel as comfortable as possible, and I don't talk about science all the time. It is very boring for the patient and sometimes for me too. For example, the guideline state 35 kilocalories per kilograms per day, or 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram per day, or use the right way if the patient has edema or ascites in that's easy to say, but I need to transfer to put to the patient's meal. I never say the patient, you eat 35 kilocalories per kilograms per day.
You'd have to get your calculator out and or start doing a lot of math on the walls to do that. And most people, that's not how we live.
Yeah, well, on my desk, I have only a blank sheet and a pen. Right. And of course, my see another thing. But when I start with the nutritional goals, I only use the blank sheet and my pen, because nutritional treatment is always individual. It's not that there is a written diet and that's all. Do you think it is a bad news? I think it is a bad news.
I think that's wonderful to make it so personal and to literally start with that blank piece of paper and a pen and listening to the person in front of you. I think that's wonderful. I wish all of medicine in some ways could be like that.
Yes, in fact, in my office, I have a blackboard. So when the patient does not understand something, I stand in front of the blackboard and together we solve the doubt. That is very important for the patient's adherence to nutritional treatment.
So what is the top question that people ask you?
What can I eat? What can I eat? I think the million dollar question. It is important to say that the nutritional treatment is always individual, always. First of all, it is very important to know the clinical history before starting the nutritional treatment. Secondly, it is very important nutritional assessment, both objective and subjective. There are many questions about food intake, if the food intake change, or if the patient has intolerance or allergic to any food.
Everybody in America seems to be allergic to something or have some type of intolerance. Is that the case in Argentina as well, or are people just more accepting to eat assortment of foods, and then you just need to guide them into what things are really good for their liver health in particular, and maybe what things they should cut back on. I hear a lot of questions about, do I have to give up my rice, or do I have to give up my bread? So how would you answer those questions for patients, particularly NASH?
With NASH, if we eat everything, I can eat all. Oh yes, I say, well, It's a very complicated question. I need to explain the nutritional goals for patients with NASH. And I think there are three food or some food about sugar, fructose, syrup, and saturated fat, and excess calorie consumption are some of the problems for the liver.
Explícame en español, por favor. Explícame en español, as if I'm a patient. You can tell me.
I say in Spanish too.
You can say it in Spanish. Tell me what, if I'm a patient in front of you, you can tell me in Spanish how you would guide me.
Okay, I say in Spanish too. El azúcar, el alto consumo de azúcar o el jarabe de fructosa, la grasa saturada, el alto consumo de calorías, son algunas cosas que llevan a problemas o al desarrollo de enfermedades hepáticas, especialmente or specifically in NAFLD or NASH patient. Obesity is very common in this patient, and this patient can progress to more serious forms of the disease, such as cirrhosis or liver cancer. So nutritional treatment is very important in this patient. And I always tell my patients, you are not a liver with leg. Ironically, but what does this mean? That the patients also may have other associated disease, so the nutritional treatment should include everything the patient has. For example, diabetes, hypertension, inflammatory bowel disease, or obesity and cirrhosis and sarcopenia. And obesity is very common in your country, in my country, and in the world.
It is a global problem. So
yes,
what do your most successful patients, patients who've been able to maybe lose 10% of their body weight, or start to really reverse the progression of their diseases through diet and exercise, through their food, through their movement, what have they done? What have the successful people learned that we need everybody else to learn?
To answer this question, I have a very anecdote with the patient. The patient came to the office for the first time with his wife, and we did everything, and his wife started asking many questions, but the patient didn't speak a word. At that moment, the secretary gave me a cup of coffee. So I offered to my patient, of course, and silence in the office. And she answered it instead of him, and she said, that his husband couldn't drink coffee because he has a liver disease.
But coffee is so good for liver health.
Yes. And so ironically, I answered it, are you my colleague? Fortunately, she laughed. She laughed, and she understood that I was in charge of treatment. I explained that he could drink coffee, and so my secretary brought a cup for him, and she took a picture of us cheering up with a cup of coffee.
Here we go. We have, Café por Salud.
Yes, but she took I can't believe it. It's very funny because there are many myths around nutrition and liver disease. In my experience, patients and their families believe that the only thing they can eat is pumpkin pudding and chicken, because they believe that if they eat other meals, they will harm the liver. They will harm the liver. This is very dangerous because, of course, it can contribute to malnutrition.
So you need a wide variety of foods, but you need to have them in the right portions, the right sizes, so that you're not eating too much.
No, of course, I explain to the patient the plate, quality and quantity food. It's important to explain, and that is why it is important to clarify that the liver does not process food, but it does intervene in the metabolism of nutrients. And then if the patient does not have any digestion symptoms or other associated disease that require food selections, his diet must be varied and healthy. And this is important. This is important to say and clarify for the patients.
Well, hopefully as we go into summertime with more fruits and vegetables being available, and hopefully we'll get to go to farmers markets and other things, the variety of fruits and vegetables that people can eat will be wider. I know in our house, to your point about, portion size and plates, we eat on the salad plates, on the smaller plates instead of the bigger dinner plates, just so it looks like we're eating a lot, because of the smaller plate or the smaller bowl, sort of fake ourselves out. But is that a good strategy, to use the smaller bowl, to use the salad plate?
Yes, I explain. I use a glass for drawing a plate. And when the patient say, oh my God, it's very small. No, it's an example. It's an example. And I explain the plate is, for example, not the patient. You plate not it is that. I explain, and when I read the question from the perspective of a nutritionist, what are the three most important things that a person can do to keep a healthy liver? I think only three. It's so difficult, but as a nutritionist, I could say keep a healthy weight and avoid alcohol consumption. Nowadays, we already know that there is no safe dose in alcohol intake, and is very problem. Alcohol is a problem, and maintain a variety and healthy, and of course a consultation with a nutrition.
Por favor, dígame los tres en español también.
Ok. Mantener un peso saludable es importante. Evitar el consumo de alcohol. Hoy en día sabemos que la ingesta, no hay una dosis segura en la ingesta de alcohol, que es importante que la gente mantenga una alimentación variada y saludable, y que por supuesto consulte a la nutricionista.
Gracias, perfecto. So as I loved the thought of you talking with people in el supermercado, in the grocery store, and out where people where people are, rather than thinking about everything coming to a doctor's office or coming to a clinic. So tell us more about, your interactions with people, talking with people in la comunidad.
Yes, yes, of course. In the foundation, I'm in charge of teaching and training, not only health professional, but also the community in general. And so I explain nutrition and the important, nutrition is very important. And I think it's very important the nutritionist talk more about nutrition and liver disease. And as I say before, sometimes I'm in the supermarket talk about nutrition and liver disease.
And then you can help them pick something right there and put together a healthy meal right there in the supermarket.
Yes, choose this, choose not, choose none. and the people say me in amazement, surprise, and I can't believe, but it's really yesterday. I think yesterday I received a message on Facebook from nutritionist from Chile. And she asked me about nutrition and esophageal varices.
Oh,
you understand? Well,
yes.
And okay, and suddenly I find myself making a video call on WhatsApp, explain and talking about this. And I didn't know her, and I didn't know who she was,
but you were still able to connect.
Yes, but we were talking for half an hour. I think it's my passion.
So what are the recommendations if you have esophageal varices? Is it to keep away from spicy foods? Is it, what changes should a person make if they have that condition going on?
Well, I think I have to answer this question. Let's imagine this situation.
Okay.
No, the patient. Well, you are the patient. You have a meeting with the pathologist, and sometimes he asks clinical analysis and image studies, and he tells you the diagnosis and treatment, of course. And he tell you after the meeting, you should see the nutritionist, because nutrition is crucial, or nutrition is very important. And at that moment, the patient's reaction is generally in amazement, and they feel overwhelmed about the situation. And I think they can understand why so many doctors are needed to treat the disease, or patients may think what they can do with all the information, or with the doctor they should begin with. And at that moment, the patient entered my office. It's a very hard situation, and so, of course, I understand. I think the motivational interview is very important in the treatment with patients with chronic liver disease and change food habits.
Yes. So, one of the things that is so exciting about the opportunities that we have in liver health for patients is to have more nutritionists like yourself available, so that the medical treatments and our life treatments, because we're not just livers on legs. I love that. We're whole people with whole lives. And so we want to think of our health in that whole way. And so I look forward to a world where we have nutritionists in the supermarkets and in the farmers markets, and as well as in our hospitals and health systems, so that we can have more people like Paola Andrenacci.
Oh, thank you so much. You're a lovely person.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
Thank you so much.
gracias, gracias por tu tiempo, Aurora. So this is as we close this episode, we thank our guests, we thank our listeners. Gracias, gracias por tu, and we encourage you to join us next week. And we also encourage you to participate in everything we are doing on Friday, June 12th, for International NASH Day. We're so excited that we have 80 partners in 25 countries. We have 30 speakers of panels throughout the day. So please go to globalliver.org, and you can find all of our International NASH Day information. You can also find all of these episodes for GLI Live. And in the meantime, until we meet again, live in great health, stay safe, and stay connected. Adios.